Looks to me that instance exists is kind of pointless. You'll see I have all these guards and that I want to execute some code that's a script that needs to access the camera. So I want to make sure the camera was initialized before I access it. In our camera code, at the end of the create event, we set initted to 1. And I also have this global where I set that the camera is finished initializing. So giving this a run, you have to pardon me, it's still compiling. We get an error, and what is the problem? Variable obj camera, obj camera.initted. It's being accessed before it was set. And you're kind of like, well, what's up with that? Because, you know, we made sure the instance existed, but the actual guard itself right here is triggering the error. So if we abort, and just to prove that to you, I'm going to comment out my guard and give it another run. Alright, so the game's working. Alright, close. Okay, let's put that guard back in. What are we going to do about this? I have an idea. Well, first, my thought was, okay, we'll create a global container. So in our objects, I have obj globals. And the first thing I did was I tried the create event, I tried game start, I tried room start. None of these worked. So what I ended up doing was I put it in, I believe I put it in room start. Or I may have just kept it in create, I'm not sure. Either way, none of them worked until I changed initialization order. So let's let's set this global in the creation event. So global.camera finished initializing equals 0. And then down in our instance creation order, down here, let me hit control for you so you can see where my mouse is. Down here in instance creation order, I've put obj globals at the very top, and I've put the globals in its own layer at the top of the layer display here. The reason I do that is because objects that don't have any graphics attached to them can be very hard to figure out where they are. So I gave it its own layer, and then invisible objects I always put near the origin 0, 0, so I can easily find them. So now that we have that in place, if we run again, we shouldn't get any crashes. Okay, so we still got a crash, and what did I screw up? So let's abort, and let's go back to the object. So obj globals, and so maybe it wasn't, oh, you know what, it was this, but we need to put it into that guard code for the dead player. So I'm going to go into the dead player and into their create code. So here's the dead player, and here's our original guard, but this guard is actually quite useless. However, if we wrap the whole thing in this, so checking for that global to be set. Okay, so now if we run that, we shouldn't get an error. I believe, are we still compiling here? Yep. Okay, so now we don't have an error. And that's really weird because you have all these guards here, and they're pretty much useless. Like, all these guards right here, useless. Completely useless. Like, why do I even bother? And so, really you wouldn't want to, like, wrap a command like this with a guard. You would actually want to do it in the actual script here. So if we go into the script screen shake, if I can, get organized and figure out where everything is. Okay, so script screen shake. Where are you? I'm still getting used to it. I haven't used GameMaker much. Okay, so screen shake. So you actually would want the guard here, right? So here's my attempts at the guards, and you'll notice that, can we pull this into its own window? Let me move this over here, pull this over here. Okay, you'll notice that even though I have these two guards up here, they seem to be kind of useless, so I also check for this global here. I don't know why this seems to be useless. I think it's because sometimes the instance will exist, but the instance is still initializing, and it hasn't finished initializing. So if you have some type of initialization order dependencies, this could possibly pass, even though the variables themselves haven't all been set in the creation event. That's just a guess. I have no clue. So there you go. If you're having trouble with that kind of thing, maybe this helped you. Hopefully, whatever.